Hello everybody, welcome back to Refle's Anime Reviews and Discussions. I am Refle, and so last episode, since I regularly now recap last episodes for some reason, I discussed Season 2 of Tokyo Ghoul, which is one of my favorite shows, and Season 2 has its bumps, but it's still a really, really good season. But we're changing it up for this episode. We're heading back to a more somewhat light. It's pretty lighthearted. A lighthearted show that was one of my favorites from spring 2015. And it is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? Which is a weird title. A long title too, but sometimes the long titles are really good shows, I've noticed. So this show, I actually was not gonna I don't know, I just decided to start watching it for some reason. And first episode of season 1, I was really close to just nope, I'm not gonna watch this show. I think the first 5 minutes or something, or 10 minutes of the first episode, I'm yeah, I don't really love this show at all. And then I was so close to just kind of tabbing out of the screen and just never watching the show again. But then something just clicked, and I just kept watching the show more and more, and I just absolutely started liking it more and more. And it just goes to show, you can't just judge a show by its first episode. I usually give a show if I think it has potential, which I didn't know about this show, but it had potential at that point. But I usually give shows 2 episodes at the very least. And it turns out the show was worth watching the whole season. So to recap it, now, the title might give you the wrong idea. It's not about picking up girls in a dungeon. And it's about Belle Crenel, I don't know how to say his last name, who's a guy who's an adventurer for the Hestia family, or familia, I should say. And he's the only member of the Hestia familia. And Hestia is a goddess. I guess to describe this, the world here it's a little bit confusing, but it's interesting, I would say. But there's familia that kind of control this world, I guess. And the heads of these familia are all goddesses or gods. And they take inspiration from Greek mythology and all that. So there's Hestia, which I believe is a Greek goddess. I'm pretty sure. There's I need to look at more. There's Hermes mixed appearance. So there's tons of Loki. Yeah, there's Loki familiar. So there's tons of just mythology, gods and goddesses, and there's a giant tower where there's just levels of dungeons, and the show is kind of similar to it's like an RPG basically, and people gain levels and gain new skills and get experience and stuff by going into the dungeon and basically going through the dungeon. And each time they kill a monster, they gain experience, which makes them level up, and they can gain new skills and everything. So it's really cool. I like the setting a lot. It's an interesting world they've made. The manga is published by Square Enix. I just read that. That's pretty interesting. I didn't know Square Enix was into manga stuff, but to head back to the show itself. So Belle is the only member of Hestia family or familia. And that's due because Hestia is not considered like a major power as far as the gods and goddesses go. But Hestia is the bestia, as you will figure out by watching the show. And basically the show's about Belle just trying to get stronger because he's a unique talent, as you will see throughout the show. And there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff, or I guess behind the scenes stuff for them at least, that kind of helps explain who he is. And by the end of season 1, you kind of get an idea of you kind of know why he's a little bit special. But basically he levels up quicker than most adventurers, even though he's kind of a wimp in a lot of ways at the beginning. In season 1, I guess the first episode opens up with him getting saved by Eyes Wallenstein, or whatever you pronounce her name, who's like the top of the top adventurers. She's called like the Sword God, like the Sword Queen or something like that. Sword Princess, that's right. Eyes Wallenstein, Varenstein, whatever it's pronounced. And basically, the show is a adventure / romance / comedy, and a little bit of haremness, because Belle's just manages to get all these women to like him in some way. And Hestia herself likes Belle a lot. And like the show is legitimately funny at times, and just the way Belle's character reacts to situations is pretty funny. There's some sound effects or sounds that he makes that are just so good. Like, I wish I could like show you a scene, because there's one scene in particular that just like the sound he makes is just so hilarious. Like, I laugh so hard. But I generally thought the story was interesting, and the whole like romance part is like it's a part of the show, but it's not really a complete focus. There is some, they do focus on it at times, but it's more about Belle just trying to get stronger, and he does get stronger throughout the season. And in particular, there's one moment that's just one of the most badass moments I've seen in an anime before, and it gave me chills watching. That's how badass it was. It was really cool. One of my favorite moments from last season of shows. Because the fight scenes itself are actually pretty decent. Yeah, overall, it's just a show that you wouldn't expect it to be as good as it is. I wouldn't consider it a great show, but it's just a very charming show that you just kind of will, like, get addicted to. I don't know why. It's just the characters I find interesting, the world is interesting, and the whole RPG aspect and them getting skills and leveling up. It's all just combines to make a really well done and interesting show and plot. Yeah, it surprised me, but I liked it as much as I did. The title might make it seem like it's not a great show, but it's a good show for sure. I'd probably give it I'd give it like a 8.25. And I might be cheap. I might be like lowballing it, honestly, as far as that score. But I'm trying to be realistic, but I enjoyed the show quite a bit. Yeah, it's just there's tons of it's just fun to watch through. It's charming, like I said, and I think there's like 11 episodes. 13. 13. Okay, yeah. So, I don't know when the season 2 is coming out. Because I think the light novel or the anime caught up to the light novel, pretty quickly, and I think they recently just released the next, light novel, which it's based on. And it's still ongoing, so you probably won't get a season 2 for a few years, which sucks because I definitely want to keep watching it, like next year or something, but I wouldn't expect it anytime soon. But it's still a really good show to watch. It's one of the surprises of spring 2015 for me, and it's a show that, like I said, you should watch. If you just kind of like fantasy shows, with like swords and there's some good fighting scenes, like I mentioned, and interesting plot with it's a unique show. I guess I'll just leave it at that, and it was worth watching. But that'll wrap it up for this episode. Next time, I don't know when I'm gonna be doing it again. But feel free to suggest shows for me to watch and review and discuss. I think I pretty much covered most of the shows I want to talk about from spring 2015, because I already did a review on Plastic Memories, which was my favorite show from spring 2015. So go and watch that if you haven't. And then, what's it called? Blood Blockade Battlefront. I think they basically left you on a cliffhanger, and they haven't finished the season yet. I don't know when they're gonna finish the season. So I can't really do a review on that until they finish the season. But that's another one of my favorite shows from last season. But they need to finish it. But anyways, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.